The King's Avatar, Chapter 1545. Distance. Audio source, wushouworldaudiobook.com. Chapter 1545. Distance. Translator, Noam Yummy. Editor, Noam Yummy. When Zhang Jiali high-fived Lin Jingyan, the intensity of the crowd reached a peak. Zhang Jiali also waved his hands towards the audience. Then, he began calming himself down to steady his emotions. Sima Zheng wasn't someone who could be beaten just by being enthusiastic. Sima Zheng had joined the alliance in Season 4. In that sense, Zhang Jiali, who had joined in Season 2, could be considered her senior. The beginning of Season 4 was when Yishu and Excellent Era were at the peak, having won all 3 prior championships. However, several Excellent Era players had retired in that summer. Everyone was watching Excellent Era attentively, wondering whether they could fill in these gaps. Then, Sima Zheng, a beautiful girl, entered their sights. In terms of publicity, Excellent Era had succeeded. Just having a female player join the team was enough to bring about much discussion from the public. But for pro players who cared about winning the championship trophy, whether or not this female player had the skill to back up her addition to the team was their main concern. She had to compete with those at the peak of glory and stand alongside the most troublesome player in the competitive scene. Soon afterwards, everyone quickly noticed the astonishing synergy between Sima Zheng and Yishu. It was as if they had been practicing together as partners for many years. Later, they discovered that Sima Zheng and Yishu had a long history together, so it made sense that the two would have a certain understanding of each other already. Some people even joked that Yishu had truly deep schemes, raising a glory partner for himself starting from when they were children. From then on, the Golden Partners were born, and since it was a male and female duo, many people thought of them as lovers. There were even many pro players who were jealous. Partners with a girl, and a beautiful one at that. How could that bastard not be having the time of his life? Unfortunately, despite being acclaimed as Glory's best partners, they were unable to defend their championship title. In Season 4, it could be blamed on the rookies not having enough experience. However, the ones who had stolen away Excellent Era's crown was a team that had been assisted by a rookie. The three-peats, Excellent Era, had been eliminated by Tyranny. Under the protection from the rookie Zhang Xinjie, Tyranny overthrew Excellent Era's dynasty. Then, Season 5, Season 6, Season 7. Every year, the two remained as the best partners. There was no debate over it. Their synergy together was unmatched. But what about their achievements? Excellent Era was getting worse and worse each year. As the core of the team, the best partners were the first to be picked at. The world had recognized Yishu's incredible skill long ago. One Autumn Leaf still looked as powerful as ever. Then, the question became, did the issue lie in Sima Zheng? As a result, controversy gradually surrounded Sima Zheng, and her looks seemed to be the main focus of the attacks. All sorts of malicious words were thrown at her, and to this day, the debate hadn't completely disappeared. If that really was the case, then things would be easy. The moment the two characters loaded into the map, Zhang Jiali had this thought. Sima Zheng had changed. To players like Zhang Jiali, who had observed her as an opponent for many years, they could feel this change. The former Sima Zheng focused on synergy and coordination with Yishu. Because of this focus, her options would often lean more towards sentimentality than rationality. At the same time, it also made it so that she lacked autonomy. Of course, it wasn't to the point where the outside world would fault her for it, but the flaw still existed nonetheless. This flaw had gradually begun to improve after Yishu's retirement. She had lost the target of her coordination and synergy. She had lost her partner of many years. Perhaps Sima Zheng had no choice but to make adjustments. However, these adjustments had made her stronger. After joining Team Happy and returning to Yishu's side, she didn't go back to the previous Sima Zheng, who only focused on synergy and coordination with Yishu. She had assumed a completely new stance to fight alongside with Yishu once again. She was different. She was better. Those familiar with Su Muchung as an opponent quickly became aware of her improvement. As the season progressed, the skill that she displayed was becoming more and more formidable. It was because she was adapting to her new team. Even though Happy had Yishu, the others were new teammates. It wasn't until she completely assimilated herself into this new environment would her true skill be displayed. It had been an entire season and half the playoffs, yet no one knew if she had reached her peak. All they knew was that throughout this entire season, she had been constantly improving. Whether or not she had a breakthrough in the future was also uncertain. They had noticed her evolution long ago, and they should have strangled it long ago. Zhang Jiali sighed. The match had begun. Dazzling 100 Blossoms played around with the ammunition clip of his gun as he rushed forward. Su Muchung didn't delay either. Dancing Rain set out quickly as well. The two were sprinting towards the center as if they wanted to be the first to reach it. Encounter. The two soon noticed each other. Even though both were long-ranged classes, launchers had the highest range out of any class. Only the sharpshooter's Thunder Snipe skill could outrange a launcher's attacks. However, sharpshooters couldn't just rely on this one skill to fight with launchers. It was a high-level skill. Once it was used, it would be on a long cooldown and couldn't be spammed. No class could contend with a launcher's range. When fighting against a launcher, the distance had to be pulled closer. The difference between classes was just how much distance. Dazzling 100 Blossoms had not entered his effective firing range yet, when Dancing Rain had started attacking. Boom! Fire spouted out as the attacks arrived. But at such a far distance there was quite a bit of time for him to dodge. At this distance, it usually wasn't too big of a problem for most classes to avoid launcher attacks. However, when trying to close the distance, you could easily tell that with every step, the threat of the launcher's attacks increased. When the firing line of the launcher was reached, it became even more difficult to get past the heavy artillery fire. Su Muchung had let Tyranny experience a special skill from her, 3 intersecting firing lines. Tyranny had called it a snowflake firing line. Trying to break past Su Muchung's firing line was extremely difficult. As a result, last round, Lim Qingyan didn't bother trying and took advantage of the rule set. What about Zhang Jiali? After Dazzling 100 Blossoms dodged Dancing Rain's attack, he threw a grenade, not far from him, just 3 steps away. Boom! The grenade exploded. Fire and smoke lifted up limestone into the air. Dazzling 100 Blossoms seemed to flicker and turn hazy in the light. Then, a second and third grenade followed. The explosions overlapped, and Dazzling 100 Blossoms disappeared. He was using his 100 Blossom style as cover while he approached. Boom, boom, boom. Explosions rang continuously. Light and shadow spread, making it impossible to figure out Dazzling 100 Blossoms' location. What's more, he wasn't moving in a straight line. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Dancing Rain took out a Gatling gun. Bullets flew and swept across the light. She knows a bit. Zhang Jiali saw the Gatling gun and knew that Su Muchung had done some research on his 100 Blossom style. After all, the two had fought against each other for many years. This time, they would be meeting in the playoffs. How could she not prepare herself for Zhang Jiali's famed playstyle? Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. If the 100 Blossom style could be destroyed so easily, how could it have become famous? Dodge. Dazzling 100 Blossoms dodged the Gatling gun's bullets, and it didn't seem to affect his own attacks in the slightest. In the blink of an eye, the wave of light pushed forward another length. WuxaWorldAudio.com. Suddenly, the light burst out like fireworks. This final display was the most brilliant and the most blinding. In that instant, everyone watching in the stadium were bedazzled by the light. This sudden blossoming was no longer to hide him. The thorn hidden by the cluster of flowers shot out. Bang, 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 bang. The automatic pistol's firing speed was above the commonly used sharpshooter revolver. Sharpshooters commonly used revolvers because they could dual-wield, allowing them to fire twice as many shots. It was what allowed them to suppress other gunner classes. Sharpshooters could dual-wield automatic pistols as well. It would give them astonishing firing speed, but very few chose to do so because automatic pistols were considered magic weapons. On the other hand, Spitfires often used automatic pistols precisely because most of their attacks dealt magic damage. Ice bullet. The ice bullet dealt ice damage. Every bullet had a layer of dull blue light emanating from it. Frosty air floated around it. As the bullet flew forward, it left a trail of crystals, one after the other. In a short moment, innumerable trails had concentrated together. After the class advancement skill, ammunition expansion, was raised to max level, special one-time bullets like Ice Bullet could be stored up to 20 times. In an instant, all 20 bullets were let out. Dazzling 100 Blossoms finished switching ammunition clips. Before the light completely dissipated, he rushed out. Bang 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 bang. Another round of gunfire. This time, the bullets left a fiery red trail, blazing bullets. Dazzling 100 Blossoms had already entered his attack range, so he immediately launched his offense. Even though his firepower wasn't as powerful as launchers, he could attack much faster. His magic bullets would trigger special effects on contact as well. Zhang Jiali didn't fear a fight at this distance. As for Suma Chung, and then the support fell to the ground. She placed her heavy cannon onto it, while she stood behind it, her two hands holding it stably. She didn't run. Suma Chung had Dancing Rain use mounted gun again. Last round, she had hidden it in the lava and used it to destroy Lin Jingyan's plans. This time, she made no secret of it. Wind began gathering around her cannon. Although the ice bullets hit her one after another, the wind roared out all at once. It was another level 75 skill. Hurricane Cannon and Chapter
The King's Avatar, Chapter 1546 Consolidating an Advantage. Audio source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 1546, Consolidating an Advantage. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Unyielding. There was no way to be more unyielding than this. Not moving an inch, her cannon lined up perfectly. Suma Chung welcomed Dazzling 100 Blossoms head-on. Whoosh! Hurricane Cannon flew out accompanied by high-pitched whistling. When Dazzling 100 Blossoms fired his second round of attacks after reloading, his shots were all caught in the Hurricane Cannon and were blown off course. Zhang Jiale was astonished. He did not expect Suma Chung to attack so forcefully. Last round, there were tricks upon tricks. This round, she couldn't be more direct if she tried. Suma Chung had become a player who could make an unwavering decision based on the current situation. She's freed herself of the shackles of excessive cooperation with Yishu, and no longer had the slight cluelessness she used to have when Yishu wasn't present. Dodge. Dazzling 100 Blossoms, who was charging forward, had to dodge sideways. But how could Hurricane Cannon's power be so easily escaped? Dazzling 100 Blossoms managed to avoid being hit directly, but was still caught in the twisting, cannonball-like hurricane. His body immediately staggered from the force. Boom. Cannon fire still rang out. Suma Chung was clearly not going to give Zhang Jiale any time to catch his breath. Explosion after explosion followed. However, Zhang Jiale was also not one to be so easily stopped. Even though Dazzling 100 Blossoms was shaken by the Hurricane Cannon, he still managed to control his character accurately while staggering. Flash bullet. A flash bullet flew out, followed closely by a gunshot. Zhang Jiale did not wait for the flash bullet to hit the ground, and directly shot and blew it up mid-air. Blinding light instantly flashed out. At this moment, even the spectators were dazzled by the bright flash. The broadcast cut quickly to Suma Chung's first-person perspective. Everyone also hastily looked at the big screen, curious as to whether Suma-chung was affected by this flash bullet. She was somewhat, but not completely. It seemed that Suma-chung had immediately turned away when she noticed the flash bullet, but Zhang Jiale had been too quick in triggering the explosion. As a result, Dancing Rain was unable to avert her gaze entirely. In the end, even though she wasn't completely blinded, there was definitely some haziness in her view of the surroundings. Dazzling Hundred Blossoms, who was actively moving around, currently seemed like a hazy blur. Another grenade was thrown. What grenade was it? Suma-chung could only see a mosaic of pixels flying towards her, and had no chance to differentiate the type of grenade. So she just completely ignored it, and simply continued to attack. Under the effects of mounted gun, a character had no way to move from their position. Of course, the opponent also had no way to disrupt Dancing Rain's position. Therefore, Suma-chung might as well not care which attack was coming at her, and just use attacks in response to Zhang Jiale. Mutual attacks. An extremely crude exchange of attacks. On this side, Suma-chung had completely abandoned attempting to dodge any attacks. What about Zhang Jiale's side? Dazzling Hundred Blossoms' movement was not restricted like Suma-chung's was by mounted gun, but he had already advanced this far, and Suma-chung was tanking all his attacks. In this situation, choosing to retreat would only be wasting his own health, while also surrendering the distance he's worked so hard to gain. Attack for attack, blood for blood. At this time, there was no alternative. Suma-chung had forced Zhang Jiale to have an exchange like this. A launcher using mounted gun clearly had heavier firepower. Zhang Jiale did not let go of his advantage of free movement. If he simply stood still and traded with mounted gun, it wouldn't be any different from suicide. This battle turned into a slugfest where neither combatant was willing to back down. But the outcome would really be decided by Zhang Jiale's ability to dodge attacks. For Dancing Rain, who was using mounted gun, dodging was out of the question. Bang bang bang. Boom boom boom. Endless gunshots, cannon fire and explosions resounded. In the end, Suma-chung lost. This result could not be considered unexpected since Dancing Rain began the round with a health disadvantage. However, the difference was only 29%. It wasn't an overwhelming one. This kind of disadvantage could be wiped out with one successful combo. But Suma-chung decided not to do this. She resolutely exchanged health after meeting her opponent, which was disadvantageous for the side with lower health. She did lose this round, but didn't actually lose in the overall picture. Zhang Jiale's Dazzling Hundred Blossoms only had 21% of his life remaining. 71% to 79%. Suma-chung came out slightly AEAD. But in terms of the group arena, Happy was way AEAD, and if they kept trading like this, they would be the victors in the group arena. Suma-chung managed to set a trap and deal with Lin Jingyan, and furthered the lead that Yishu established against Tyranny. It would be hard for most people to miss out on an opportunity to further their lead when they already had an advantage. More kills meant more points. However, every new player in the group arena meant a potential reversal, especially for Tyranny, who was richly experienced and strong-willed. It wasn't that easy to shake them up. Thus, when battling Zhang Jiale, Suma-chung did not greedily look to further their lead. Instead, she simply traded evenly. A very wise strategy, and a very wise decision. There didn't seem to be a big change in the difference in health. But as the number of players went down, if the health difference stayed the same, the lead would actually widen. Happy still had 3 players on full health. Tyranny had 2 plus a 1/5 health Dazzling Hundred Blossoms. Who would Happy send out next? Su Muchung left the stage. Everyone was fixated on the player's area. The suspense for the next player was too much. Mo Fan stood up on Happy's side. As expected, everyone felt this way. Mo Fan had already become a staple player on Happy's group arena roster. His playstyle was also very suitable for the group arena. Good luck. Su Muchung smiled to Mo Fan as they met halfway from the stage. Mo Fan nodded. Even a simple word from him had a very determined air to it. Very soon, the fifth battle began. Mo Fan, who had full health, did not choose to charge forward at the start of the battle, and instead skirted around the edge of the map. The stadium instantly filled with boos. Mo Fan's opponent Zhang Jiale only had 21% of his health remaining. In this situation, not fighting head-on would definitely be looked down upon by Tyranny fans. But Mo Fan would never care about this. He would use the style he was familiar with no matter the situation. However, there really weren't many hiding spots on this map. After Zhang Jiale's dazzling 100 blossoms reached the middle of the map without finding anyone, he moved diagonally. WuxaWorldAudio.com. It wasn't long before he spotted Deception, moving on the other side of the lava. This kind of flank really isn't very productive. Pan Lin commented in the broadcast. Yes. Due to the map being divided by the lava, there are very few options for movement routes. There are only so many in any general direction. Add on the fact that the areas are quite open and visible, flanking really wouldn't achieve much. Li Yibo said. But Mo Fan still insists on doing so. Pan Lin said. Yep, he persists. Li Yibo nodded his head. Pan Lin was speechless. He meant for Li Yibo to further explain Mo Fan's intentions. Turns out, he just confirmed the. Mo Fan still persists. Why is he persisting? It's your job to explain it. Pan Lin cursed inwardly. But he also knew that Li Yibo must be uncertain and hesitant, and so didn't speak up. Deception was already exposed and within dazzling 100 blossoms' line of sight. He still didn't approach and continued to circle around. Zhang Jiale also did not pursue directly, and had dazzling 100 blossoms also circle around to intercept. When Li Yibo saw Zhang Jiale's reaction, he suddenly got an idea. Mo Fan probably wants to fight at the limestones. Li Yibo said. The limestones was where Su Muchung and Lin Jingyan fought. Over there, the stacks of limestone was the only place on the map where there was a bit of cover in some spots. Mo Fan's intentions were the same as Lin Jingyan's. It was just that Lin Jingyan took advantage of the rules and forced his opponent over to the limestones, yet Mo Fan couldn't care less and charged over by himself. What if Zhang Jiale just decided to ignore him? This what if could be forgotten, because Zhang Jiale did not ignore him. Dazzling 100 blossoms and Deception were still far away from each other, but they were both running towards the same direction. The broadcast displayed a small bird's-eye view of the battle, indicating Zhang Jiale's intentions. Dazzling 100 blossoms would intercept him. Fight head-on. Everyone was speculating. A head-on fight would certainly be disadvantageous for Zhang Jiale, whose character had only 21% of his life left. But what about Mo Fan? That guy always snuck about and used ambushes, but in many people's eyes, he was more than skilled enough to fight head-on. The ones who did not understand Mo Fan's character all felt that his so-called fireworks style was superfluous. Why couldn't you just continue your explosive attacks? Why would you hit and run, and come back for another hit? There's a limit to how prudent you can be. But disdain was disdain. In the end, Mo Fan's style still caused people headaches. He grinded his opponents down by using his patience and repeatedly attacking and backing off. He sat tight when there was no good opportunity. Right now, Tyranny was behind and was anxious for a comeback. Meeting this type of opponent was incredibly suffocating. Yishu is so obnoxious. Sending out this kind of guy in this kind of situation. Tyranny's hate of Yishu was deeply rooted and immovable within their hearts. Even at this time and place, they first turned their aggro onto Yishu, who wasn't even on stage. The two characters drew closer and closer. There was no doubt that Dazzling 100 Blossoms would be able to intercept Deception. Of course, Mofan could see that the opponent was blocking his way. He continued to control Deception to charge forward. Was he attempting to charge through the interception, or to decide the outcome of the match right here? End chapter. The King's Avatar. Chapter 1547, A Clash of Skill and Technique. Audio source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 1547, A Clash of Skill and Technique. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Zhang Jialei stared attentively at the approaching Deception and his two hands. Reading the ninjas' attacks was the most effective method against ninjas. According to their analysis of Mofan, they noticed that Mofan didn't tend to turn sideways to hide his hand seals like most ninjas did. Perhaps this was related to how he often used sneak attacks. But at this moment, Deception turned away slightly. Just because he didn't often use it didn't mean he didn't use it. And what team was Mofan on? With teammates like Fang Rui and Yishu, how could he not pick up on such a useful technique? Sure enough, it was just wishful thinking. Zhang Jialei sighed. A team that could reach the semi-finals in the playoffs wouldn't have anyone with such a glaring weakness. Zhang Jialei's Dazzling 100 Blossoms moved to the side to reach an angle where he could see Deception's hand movements. In practice, this forced the ninja to act faster. The ninja didn't want their opponent to know their next move, but at the same time, the ninja couldn't just keep turning and turning to hide his hand movements. If the ninja turned too far, they would lose sight of their opponent. Instead, Deception followed along with Dazzling 100 Blossoms and took a few steps to the side. Zhang Jialei wouldn't be able to move laterally to widen his view. If he kept going, Dazzling 100 Blossoms would jump right into the lava. The area here was rather narrow, so there wasn't too much else he could do. Even now, Dazzling 100 Blossoms was only 2 or 3 steps away from the lava, which was already quite nerve-wracking for the audience. Deception suddenly made his move. He spent all that time hiding his hand movements, but he ended up using a move that didn't require any hand seals. Peng! A cloud of purple smoke burst forth and spread outwards. Ninja tool, smoke bomb. The purple smoke instantly swallowed Deception. The terrain didn't have any places to hide and set up sneak attacks, so Mofan set it up himself. Dazzling 100 Blossoms was only 2-3 steps away from the lava. If Mofan used the smoke bomb as cover and landed a blow, Dazzling 100 Blossoms would be knocked into the lava and the battle would be over. This was what everyone thought at this moment. These were Mofan's thoughts as well. He had used smoke bomb to obtain this opportunity for a single deciding blow. As the smoke from smoke bomb spread, Deception began to move. After joining the pro scene, he had slowly learned this technique. It was harder for the opponent to notice the ninja's movements if the ninja moved as the smoke spread. Waiting for the smoke bomb to fully spread out would give the ninja more space to move, but at the same time, the flow of smoke was slow. If the ninja moved too fast, the ninja would disrupt the flow of the smoke, and an experienced player would be able to deduce the ninja's location. When moving inside smoke bomb, you had to move at the same speed as the smoke's expansion. In the competitive scene, there were countless details that need to be accounted for. There were simply too many incredibly skilled players there, who would take advantage of even the slightest openings. Mo Fan had good control over his movement speed. He matched the speed of the smoke, and gently made his way over as if he were smoke. Dazzling 100 blossoms. Mo Fan didn't relax his guard, but at this moment, light blossomed all around the area 2-3 steps away from the lava. The light instantly enshrouded Dazzling 100 blossoms. Should Mo Fan continue? Could he find Dazzling 100 blossoms within that blinding light and knock him into the lava? If it were Tyranny's Han Wenking playing, he would have definitely done this. But not Mo Fan. With the light blinding him, he wasn't certain he could do it. As a result, Deception stopped and waited quietly in the smoke for an opportunity. He was an opportunist as well. Huang Shaoshan was agile, fast, and decisive. Every move he made would certainly succeed. Mo Fan couldn't compare to Huang Shaoshan in these areas, but he was more patient. He could watch as an opportunity slipped by while maintaining a steady heart. Just like now. Deception had stopped, and how could Dazzling 100 blossoms continue staying in such a dangerous position near the lava? Many people felt that it was a pity losing this opportunity to knock Dazzling 100 blossoms into the lava. Many people thought Mo Fan should have followed through. Mo Fan didn't feel that way though, and he didn't feel any regret. On the other hand, Zhang Jiale was very regretful. Dazzling 100 blossoms had put himself in this dangerous position as bait. He had thought up of 4 different ways to counterattack and send the approaching Deception into the lava instead. However, Mo Fan gave up and didn't continue forward. Was my 100 blossoms too excessive? Zhang Jiali began reviewing the circumstances. But if I didn't do anything, wouldn't my bait be too obvious if I just stood there? I could continue having Dazzling 100 blossoms stay by the lava, but that would also let Mo Fan know that something was up. It wasn't that my acting wasn't good enough, but rather, Mo Fan is too cautious. Dazzling 100 blossoms left this dangerous position, but he couldn't keep up this light cover. The 100 blossoms style was very mana-hungry. In the past, it had been him and Sun Zheping. One of them traded mana, the other traded health. Their styles were actually very unsuited for group arena play. In the regular season, the group arena was between 3 players though, so it wasn't as obvious. But for the playoffs, with 5 players each in the group arena, trading health or mana for the opponent's health was quite awkward. 5 players made it so that the consumption of mana or health in a fight was more important than with 3 players. After getting away from the lava, Dazzling 100 blossoms immediately launched his offense. The smoke bomb hadn't dispersed yet, so Zhang Jiale didn't know Deception's precise position. But his previous dangerous position should have been quite enticing. Even if Mo Fan gave up in the end, he had likely been tempted in the beginning. Therefore, Deception's position. Light, push forward. Zhang Jiale only need to know his opponent's approximate location. The 100 blossoms wave of light covered an area even greater than what a launcher could. The light intruded into the smoke and raged through it, tearing the smoke apart. A figure flickered from inside. Zhang Jiale quickly caught it and immediately started aiming towards there. But the instant he turned, another figure immediately rushed out from the previous location. It was a bait from Shadow Clone Technique. Zhang Jiale was surprised, but he responded promptly. Dazzling 100 blossoms turned back, and his bullets blasted Deception into bits. This time, Zhang Jiale was very surprised. It turned out that the one here was fake, and the other one was actually the real one. He hastily tried to turn back again, but Deception had already arrived. Now, Zhang Jiale only had time to throw an implosion grenade. The powerful shockwave expanded outwards, and Deception was blown away. Dazzling 100 blossoms chased after him to continue attacking. This implosion grenade shockwave also disturbed the smoke even further. Now, several deceptions could be seen. It wasn't shadow clone technique, but shadow dance. Zhang Jiale had realized it. But he had just used implosion grenade, which was very annoying for shadow dance users. He couldn't use it again to destroy all of these clones. The deceptions rushed out in different directions and swarmed dazzling 100 blossoms. It was true that the 100 blossom technique could cover a wide area and affect all of these clones, but expanding the area of effect would sacrifice the damage dealt per unit of area. While it was useful as a cover, it posed very little threat in terms of offensive prowess. Focusing on a single point would allow him to quickly dispatch a clone, but it would be too late to deal with the others if he did that, especially when there were so many others. As a result, chaotic grenades, high-level skill against high-level skill, chaotic thunder against shadow dance. Both of these skills required the player to control them. As a result, the effects of the skill depended on the player. It would be better to call it as a confrontation in technique than rather than skills. WuxaWorldAudio.com. All sorts of grenades flew out from dazzling 100 Blossom's hands. Impact, timed, poison gas, and so on. There was no time to rest. There was no time to think. Every action was instinctive. Were all of these grenades effective against the oncoming shadow clones? Some were. Some weren't. Because Mo Fan was also controlling his clones. Some of the grenades were dodged, some were not. Amidst these successive explosions, deceptions, shadow clones were able to reach dazzling 100 blossoms in the end. Ninja attacks were silent, but the blood that flew about was as brightly colored as ever. The scarlet blood was quickly engulfed by the flames, and then, new blood would take its place. Dazzling 100 Blossoms was using long-range weapons to fight against an opponent in close combat. His character weaving in and out was similar to the sharpshooter's gun fu. But in the end, the farther the better. After all, Spitfires didn't have martial skills like sharpshooters did. Sharpshooters had the firearms martial arts skill too, which greatly enhanced the gun fu playstyle. Zhang Jiale had no way to completely rout Mo Fan, and Mo Fan had no way to completely suppress Zhang Jiale. It was a stalemate, and if it continued, the winner would be decided by who had more health to start with. Dazzling 100 Blossoms only had 21% of his health when he started, far lower than Deception. This amount of health wasn't enough for him to last long in a fight. This sort of health wasn't good for this sort of clash between skill and technique, but he had no other choice. When dazzling 100 Blossoms fell, the smoke and light that was left behind hadn't even completely dissipated yet. Spitfires were considered the majors of the gunners, yet in the end, it became a clash at close quarters. Even though Zhang Jiale had lost, his performance was brilliant. It was a brilliant match. I think everyone's only regret is the same as mine. It was just too short. Pan Lin sighed. Yes, Li Yibo also nodded his head. There was no need to analyze all the details in this fight. Both players had played spectacularly. End chapter.